Today's video I will be recreating this makeup look. This is pretty much my everyday go-to look. I usually don't wear eyeshadow all the time, and I don't wear lashes, which is what I'm wearing now, believe it or not. But this is really the look that I love to have on my everyday basis, and you guys probably see me wearing this all the time on my Instagram and on my videos, Snapchat, all that stuff. And if you want to know how to achieve this look that I have, then keep on watching. Don't forget to also subscribe, comment, and like at the end. And if you have any other video suggestions, please leave that in the comments below. Guys, so I already did my eyebrows, as you can see. So I'm deciding right now which primer I want to use, and I think I might do the Benefit smoothing primer. Well, porefessional primer. So yeah. So I'm gonna take a kind of like a dime size of the porefessional primer from Benefit. So as you can see, I'm pressing the primer into my skin. I'm not like massaging it like a moisturizer or anything like that, because that's not what it is. And especially with smoothing primers, if you just rub it into the skin instead of warming it up and pressing it into the skin, it will kind of like ball up and get really like wrinkly and crumbly, and it's just not going to stay well. So also, before I put the primer on, I already did moisturize, and my favorite moisturizer is the Sunday Riley Tidal moisturizer. I feel like this is pretty much good for like all skin types, but what I love about this one is that it is brightening, it has enzymes in it, so it really does help to hydrate all day, and I'm someone that I hate to feel anything oily on my face. So you know, this is super lightweight, it feels like almost like water, and it just feels really cooling on the skin. And then for my lips, just to keep it kind of hydrated, my favorite like go-to thing is Blistex. Yes, you heard me correctly, Blistex. This is like thebomb.com, and this is always going to be like a purchase of mine. It's always going to be in like my purse. I'm actually going to go ahead and clean my beauty blender, and I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r foundation. This is one of my favorites because, like I said, I have normal skin, but I do like to be very matte, which I know a lot of people like they might not like that, because I don't know, I guess like the trend now is all about glowy bronze skin or something. But for me, you're gonna see that even though I do use a lot of powder and things, I can still make the illusion that I'm very dewy and like bronzy and stuff. So my beauty blender is clean now, and I'm just gonna squirt one pump onto the beauty blender. Just like that. So I always start with a little bit at a time. Less is always more. That's pretty much the saying when it comes to makeup. So you always want to use a little at a time, and then if you need more, you can build like upon that. So after I finish putting the foundation everywhere with the beauty blender, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty concealer in the color Granola. So you need the tiniest amount. So I don't know if you can just see that little dot I just put on right there, but even that is a lot of coverage by itself. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that under the eyes. Also, sometimes I use a color corrector. Sometimes I use the Urban Decay Naked correcting fluid. Looks like this. And I use the color Peach. So for days that I feel like I have a lot of blemishes, or I have a lot of redness, or not even redness because you're supposed to use green for redness, but I still use Peach. But if you have any like a lot of dark spots and just a lot of fatigue that day, I would definitely use a color corrector first, and then I'll be putting the concealer under it. And then also, as you noticed, I haven't put any foundation or concealer still up here, but now I'm going to be taking a little bit of the Huda concealer and putting that on top of like my lids. So after putting on the concealer, I'm now going to be using my Milk Makeup Translucent Medium Blur Powder. So this is what it looks like. But this whole routine obviously depends on, you know, what you like and, you know, what your skin type is. Because if you're dry, you probably won't even want to put powder everywhere. But this is just my routine and just what I do for those who just want to see it. But this doesn't mean that this is what I'm recommending for everybody. So let's just get that clear. Okay. So I'm going to actually be using the Real Technique setting brush. It looks like this. I do take a little bit of that translucent powder again, and I focus it more on the places where I contour. I also sometimes go in with like a foundation powder. The one that I really like is the Sephora Microsmooth powder. I'm not sure if they still have this continued or they're still selling this, because I know in my store they discontinued this, unfortunately, and it's like an amazing powder. I use the color medium, and this is what it looks like. So I'll take some of like the foundation powder and just pack a little bit on just those areas that still need more coverage. It's better than packing on extra foundation, because that's when you will definitely start to look more cakey. I'm actually going to use the Hoola bronzer. I like to use this almost as like my transition shade into my contour. So I'm going to be using the Morphe M581 brush, and then I like to kind of start at the temples of my forehead. So the same places that I would usually contour at is where I'm going to be bronzing at as well. So my kind of trick here is to kind of tap it. Instead of kind of like blending it like this, try to tap it. And what I like to do is I start from the ending of my ear. So this is pretty much where you contour. So the ending of your ear going to the corners of your mouth. So kind of like in this direction. But you don't bring it all the way to your mouth. You kind of stop in the middle of your pupil. So that's where you kind of stop that. Now for a deeper contour, I'm going to be going in with the Anastasia contour kit in medium to tan. And I really like to mix up the color all the way to the left side up here, and then the darkest one right here in the middle on the bottom row. So I really like to kind of blend those two together. And I'm just putting this on the areas where I contour, but mostly right here on the sides of my face. I'm not really going to bring this too much up into the forehead, because like I said, that's when it starts to look really dark. I either like to go back with my Real Techniques setting brush to kind of blend out the cheek area, just because I want this to look really, really smooth, and I don't want any harsh like contouring. So I'll just go like this on top of it and then on the bottom. So I like to take my beauty blender and I'll put it inside the Milk Blur powder again. And this is kind of where the baking comes in, but I don't really like to bake because it can over dry your skin already. So I'm just gonna take it and I only leave it there for like a good maybe minute or even less. And then what I like to do is I'll take a little bit on my forehead and then I'll bring it down to the bridge of my nose. Then I like to contour my nose with the Sephora Pro Airbrush Shadow Brush in number 30, and it looks like this. It has kind of like this dome-shaped bristle. So I'm going back in with that Hoola bronzer, and I'm actually going to contour with powder. Then I start from the bridge, like the side, not even the bridge, the sides of my nose, and very lightly kind of contour the sides. So kind of like almost on the top of it. And I kind of bring it up all the way to the brow area. If anything, I really like to make sure the tip of my nose, like in the bottom here, is more dark than the sides, because that's kind of what's going to give the illusion that you have like that small kind of like tip. And now I'm going to go ahead and blend away this baking that I'm doing here. And I kind of like to swirl it a little bit, the brush. And sometimes I top. Here. Like I said, after I kind of do that nose contour, I will be still using that setting powder on the sides here. So now we're going to go into blush. The blush that I will be using today is the, I don't even know how to pronounce this brand, but it is from Italy. And it's called Makiage. If I'm saying that right, it's Ilmakiage. Il Makiage. I don't know, whatever. And I'm using their Mineral Baked Blush in Lady Marmalade. Hope I'm saying this right. And it kind of reminds me of NARS Orgasm Blush. It has like this very nice luminous finish to it. And for that blush, I will also be using a Real Technique blush. This is the blush brush. I had this for like ages, so excuse me if it looks a little crusty. So then next I use the Artist Couture highlight in Hot Damn. This is their Diamond Luxe Luminizer. Looks like this. It is super gorgeous. I love this one. So usually I apply this on dry and then I'll spray my face again, and while my face is still a little bit wet, I'll go on top of it again to make it more like metallic and bright. And I kind of like to do a C shape, so like I'll put a little bit on the temples, but I'll focus it more right here on the cheekbone. And I'll take a little bit here on the chin, and then we'll put it on the side. And then whatever is left over on the brush, I will go ahead and put that on the bridge of the nose. And then for the eye part, I like to keep it very simple. Sometimes I don't put eyeshadow at all, and sometimes I'll either put a little bit of my Hoola bronzer on my lids, or I'll use, this has kind of been my go-to product, I guess you could say, or eyeshadow palette. This is the Desi X Katie Friendcation palette from Dose of Colors, and it looks like this. It's super gorgeous. I love the packaging, and these are what the colors look like. And I go in with a MAC 224 blending brush. Then I use the Morphe M535 brush. And I'm just going to take that, kind of like that burnt kind of chestnut color in the palette right here. And very small amount because this is a super pigmented palette. And then I'm just going to go right kind of like on top of that color I blended. And then I'm going to be going in with the Morphe M503 brush. And I'll go in with that, well, the only darkest brown shade in here, which is this one. And I put it on only the outer corners of my eye. So next I'm just going to take a eyelash curler. This one I got from Forever 21 like years ago. I just clean it with alcohol and just call it a day. And that's it. Then I use my all-time favorite mascara, which is the Benefit Their Real Mascara. So the lashes that I usually use, the Ardell Demi Wispies, and they look like this. And then to apply the lashes, I do use tweezers, and then I'm going to be using the Velour eyelash glue with it as well. So now that I have my lashes on, they look awesome. So I'm going to just highlight like the inner corners and my brow bone really quickly. So I'm going to spray my face now with the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix. going to be using the e.l.f. lip liner in dark brown. And then I'm going to be using the Smashbox Gloss Angles in the color Beachy Keen. And it looks like this. So now that we're all finished, I'm going to spray my face one more time, and that is going to be the final look.